have a follow-up question for you. Because our state is in a crisis, it is a mess. Is it going to take a team to support you if you were to get the endorsement in candidacy? So how will you use your transition planning team and the process to ensure that this long-term vision and focus is part of your administration? And who will you work with to make this happen?
Well, first of all, we're not going to have a lot of time because we're going to have a deficit that's going to be in excess of $7 billion. The governor says 5, but that's because they don't take inflation into account. They like to wish a lot of stuff away. And I need the sort of people that are here in this room. You know, the type of people that have been campaigning for me are people like Keith Ellis and other folks like that. The kind of people that I've always done work with how to take action. You know, Bernice reads the 2020 website a lot. I know she does that. You know, the kind of things that we talk about there. You know, people of the sort of progressive mindset that understand that those are the sorts of things that we want to do. And we have to have a team. And you have to have focus. That's why I believe the first thing out of the chute that we're going to do is we're going to work on that clean energy economy to make sure that we're beginning to do that. And there's going to be some heavy lifting, but a governor who wants to do that can make that happen. Then the second thing I'm going to do after that is we're going to junk leave no child behind and then begin to focus on investing in education and real human services and helping people.
Okay.
That is it. So,
Now we have questions for the audience, right?
we have some open Q&A questions. Thank you so much.
So first is
So-
Frank.
I swear this was rehearsed the way you were
Thank
talking
you.
about
All
it.
right.
Oh, Paul, I forgot about Paul. How could I forget Paul?
We got Paul there.
Hi, Paul.
Hi. As you know, I've worked on ag issues at the Capitals since the 1985 farm crisis. So what's been happening these past 20 years is an increasing dominance of metro-based corporate agribusiness and commodity groups like pork producers co-opted by corporate interests getting more and more control. What's happened at the farm gate is family farmers have continually had to do with less and less, do more and more for less. One bright spot for family farmers in Minnesota has been an increasing demand for sustainable and organic agriculture. This last legislative session, when the overall ag budget was cut 8%, organic and sustainable agriculture was cut in excess of 70%. What will you do as governor?
I'm sure that was a coincidence. Yeah.
What will you do as governor to put the interest of family farms before metro-based agribusiness interests? What skills and background and vision do you want your ag commissioners to have?
Let's start just with a little bit of my background and how I come to this. My family homesteaded here after the Civil War. My great-great-grandfather came out after fighting for the North, got 80 acres of land in Lockwood-Carl County in far western Minnesota. And my family was there until the Depression, when we lost our farm, like a lot of families did, like a lot of families did in the mid-'80s. And then they moved down to a little town called Rushmore, Minnesota, not too far from Worthington in the southwest, and slowly sort of built themselves back up. I put myself in college in part by doing farm work. I walk beans, which doesn't mean you put a leash on beans, you pull weeds and things. But that job is gone now because of big agribusiness. They've wiped that out with now with pesticides and herbicides. But I detasseled corn and picked rock and did all those sorts of things. So I've certainly never been a farmer, but I certainly feel a connection to it. When I was finishing college, I was part of a group that helped put together Mississippi Market Co-op in St. Paul because I believed we needed to have access to organic and sustainably produced food. And then as we began to have a family, and my wife Lois and I have 3 kids, we joined Common Harvest, the CSA, as another way of making sure that we were part of working for sustainable agriculture. I need a commissioner that understands that the future of rural Minnesota is not going to become like western Kansas or like Oklahoma, where all we have are monocultures and huge, huge farms. I want more families back out on the land. You probably know Reggie Haslett and Mara Quinn, who is part of a group of Latino farmers that are sustainably raising poultry and crops to create a organic and sustainable business in making soup and other forms of products like that. And he's supporting me, along with a lot of others, because they understand that that's part of the future that I support. And it's not just today, it's something that I've been supporting for years and years and years.
Thank you. Our next open question will come from Frank.
Hi, I'm Frank. I'm a mentor at Freedom Works. It's a Christian halfway house for guys coming out of prison. I'm also part of the Second Chance Coalition. We reject the politics of accept, a politics that says some people are not deserving of full participation in our society. Many citizens returning from prisons are unable to support themselves or their children because they cannot find housing or jobs. They are quickly rejected because of their past mistakes. We believe punishment must fit the crime, and no matter what the offense, people never stop being worthy of dignity and respect. This belief is central to creating the possibility of personal transformation. When offenders hold up their end of the bargain and serve the consequences for their actions, society must do the same. There must be an end to punishment and a point at which people are restored to full standing in the community without permanent marks against them. Our justice system must give people a real chance to live to their fullest potential. We believe every person deserves this chance to make up for their actions and contribute to the community. What is your plan to help our returning citizens get housing and jobs which they are qualified for?
Let me start again, because I think it's important to talk about performance and different things that I've worked on. And one of the things some of you may know is that I had the opportunity to go to the University of Minnesota Law School back when it was affordable. And I could leave it without a lot of debt. At that point, we had a young family. My wife was just starting in work. And I was able to go into public service. And so I went to the Attorney General's office, where I prosecuted telemarketers, which is fun. And those are the sorts of folks that don't get prosecuted very often. I left there, was then at, I worked at the Public Defender's Office in Hennepin County, where I helped form a union for AFSCME. But then later on, I went to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, and I prosecuted white-collar criminals. And one of the tremendous frustrations I had and my other fellow prosecutors prosecuting white-collar crime is you could have people who had have destroyed people's lives, stolen pension funds, done horrible things, and we had a hard time getting them in jail because the sentencing guidelines were focused on people who had committed drug offenses, and those folks got huge long terms in jail, but white-collar criminals, with all the education and opportunities and things in the world behind them, it was difficult for us to get them sentences that we thought were commensurate. And so I come to this with a lot of experience in seeing the inequalities of the system. And when people have paid their time, they need the opportunities to make sure they can come back to society. Otherwise, what's going to happen to them? And I'm sure you've seen, Frank, you've seen what happens. And that's why I'm working with folks like Melvin Carter Jr. And with them and other folks who've come out of the Second Chance program, say that we need to create the structures so that people can become full citizens again and participate fully and not be pushed back into a life that they're desperately trying to lead. And for that, you need a governor who's going to have a plan to grow the economy and create the revenue and other things that we need so that we can help to make sure that those things happen.
Thank you.